Hello there. I'm Scotty, and you're not. I'm Scotty, and you're not. I'm upside down. Eh? All right. We're here to talk about Stranger Things season 2. Just finished it tonight. I've been filming some things for next week. This is why I haven't got to it. I decided to binge the rest. I was on episode 6. I just binged the rest of the season. I had 4 episodes left. Binged them, and so season 2 of Stranger Things takes place about a year after the first one. Will has adjusted to being back with his friends, and they've been mourning Eleven, who they think is dead, but she's actually living in a cabin with Hopper. He's taking care of her and feeding her and stuff like a surrogate daughter. But there are these creatures that have come from the upside down, burrowing through Hawkins and spat out by Will at the end of the first season. He spat out that thing in the sink, and this thing, later known as the Mind Flayer, has a grip on Will, and everyone's going to have to come together to stop this thing and save the day, so to speak. So I really enjoyed this. About as much as the first season, maybe some in some parts better than the first season. This season was actually pretty good. It started off kind of slow as a kind of a slog and getting used to everything, but then once about episode 5 or 6, it just hit, and then there was a little speed bump in episode 7, but then once it got to 8 and 9, it was full balls to the walls after that. So I'll try to do it like I did last time. Good, bad, and then kind of a spoiler discussion if I can. But when it comes to the good, the acting performances in this are all real good. As I highlighted last time, you get Millie Bobby Brown, Winona Ryder, David Harbour, even the kids. Like, I noticed that, like, the teenagers, like the kids, like middle school kids, like with Mike, Finn Wolfhard, and Lucas and them, they speak to the adults, especially in this high-pressure situations, like they're also adults. It's kind of like It, which is, Finn Wolfhard. But, like, there's a scene towards the end, like when Mike finds out that Hopper's been keeping 11 all this time for like a year. And they have it, it's like, we need to talk, like Hopper says, and they go into that other room and have a conversation. And it's almost like there's 2 adults having a conversation about it. Like, he's calling him kid, but it's not like he's looking down on him. It's like he's having another conversation with an adult. They're arguing like they're 2 adults. And that's really cool. And one character in this season that I think was greatly improved, which shocked me, probably won't shock you because you guys have seen it, but it shocked me, was Steve Harrington. I hated that character in the first season. And when I saw he was coming, he was back, and he was the main character. Joe Keery was the main character. I'm like, oh, great, we're going to have more of him. Great. But he gets redeemed in this season. He becomes like the babysitter and stuff. There's a point, like, he becomes nicer, understanding with Nancy, really understanding towards the end. But he even helps Dustin out when Dart, which is his little worm that grows up to be a creature, which they find out is actually a baby Demogorgon, gets out and they have to try to catch him. He helps him because everyone else is busy doing whatever. So, yeah, I like that. And even towards the end, there's a scene at some point where Nancy and Jonathan go off to this Murray guy to get him to run a story about the lab. They trick the lab into telling them information, which Nancy records. They take it to Murray, and he says, well, we can't just tell the whole full story, or no one will believe it. So they fake a story, they water it down, as they say, and fake it that it's a gas leak that caused her death. And only her death. Maybe the others that died too. Who knows? How are they going to explain the creatures, though, that came out and attacked and all those workers at the building, the Fernandez and Bob, which we'll get to. That's a sad story with Bob. But while they're on the little road trip at Murray's, Murray gives Jonathan some encouragement. Hey, you guys, share a bed. And they're like, no, we're not together. Oh, that's the first. There's a lot of things you've been saying this today, but that's the first lie you've told me. And they do end up hooking up. And like I said, applaud to Steve because he recognizes this. And he basically tells Nancy, go. He's not a dick. Old Steve would have gotten pissed. He's not a dick. He doesn't get pissed. He understands. And that's the change, We got another dick, though, in Billy. Billy Hargrove, which is the older stepbrother of Max, which is another female character, which we're going to talk about her in my negatives. I like the actress. I like aspects of her character, but I don't like how she's used. We'll talk about the negatives. And I'm talking about her stepbrother in the positives because, with making Steve the good guy, you need another sort of antagonistic force for the kids. And that's Billy, played by, what's his name? He was the Red Power Ranger in the Power Rangers movie. I forget his name. But, yeah. And they had a little thing with his character where he might be racist because he's kind of telling Max to stay away from Lucas. But props to them, they don't go full over. Like, you think this, then again, this was before everything had to be woke or whatever, had to have a message. They don't go full into it, although I haven't seen season 3, so I can't tell you that. And from what I can surmise, when he goes to Mike's house and talks to his mom, something's going to go on there. I haven't seen season 3 or anything, but something, the way they're looking at each other, something's going on there. Something's going to go on. I'm just saying. Is everybody going to be in the hallway or something doing this? But yeah. I also like that Will... lost it. The actor who plays Will, he gets more to do this season. In season 1, he was sort of off to the side, being comatose in the Upside Down. He gets more to do, and you get to see his acting, and he's a good actor. I wish I could remember his goddamn name. But he's good with some of the things. He has to play both Will and this creature inside Will at points. And he's good at doing it. And Dustin and Lucas are good too. They have their moments. But yeah, I also like the music. I didn't talk about the music in season 1, other than the beginning where the song is stuck in your head. There's a very 80s vibe with the music that you used to put in the licensed music. Very good. They have like Every Breath You Take. They once again play Should I Stay or Should I Go by The Clash. They have Pat Benatar at some point. They have a lot of 80s music. It's just very 80s centric. Like one of the first episodes is Halloween, and they go out as the Ghostbusters. And what I liked is that Elle was trying to sneak out to go trick-or-treating as a ghost. Now you can say, oh, what a coincidence, but then again, she might have read Mikey's mind, but if she did, wouldn't he be able to tell? I don't know. But yeah. I like how this is more 80s. They kind of went, first one was 80s like E.T. and stuff. This one had the aliens feel with the creatures, and even Paul Reiser is in this. I thought he was going to be a straight villain, but he seems, and again, I haven't seen season 3, so I can't tell where his character goes, if it goes anywhere. I liked how he wasn't just playing out villain. Like, there's a scene where he stays behind and he tries to help guide Bob, and I thought he was going to, well, he accidentally does, but going to purposely lead him to the monsters to kill him, but he doesn't. I don't know why I would think that, but I just thought, because I don't trust him, because he's Burke from Aliens. You can't trust Burke, because he's an asshole. But Burke would have done it. Burke would have led him right to it. And that leads me to Bob. Bob Newby, played by Sean Aston, and he's honestly one of my favorite characters in this season. It sucks, man. He is Joyce's new boyfriend, and he helps them out. He's a puzzle man. He helps figure out that these pictures that Will drew and are all over the house is a map of Hawkins. Although it still takes them too long to figure out what Hopper means, because Hopper at one point decides, I might not even need to do a spoiler discussion, just kind of go into this way while I'm in the good, but Hopper at one point, um, there's an investigation where the pumpkins in the town are dying, and he can't figure out why. And once he figures out that there's those creatures, like he sees the picture, he's like, the vines, and he runs off and he gets stuck in the tunnels underneath because the upside down is choking him, and he gets trapped in the tendrils and stuff. So once they find out some map of Hawkins, you think they would put Hawkins instead of Vines pumpkin patch, but they don't. It takes them forever to get there because we gotta have a last minute save, but that's fine. Yeah, and I liked how the season ended with I liked that this was really cool, because the Demogorgon creatures attack and slaughter almost everyone at Hawkins' lab, including Pop, leaving Owens, that's Paul Reiser's character, alive. We find out later, but Will is sort of the spy, as they call him, because he's under the creature's control, the mind flayer, as they call him. And so, at first, they set up the shed so that he can't figure out where they are, which I was like, why didn't you just sit him in there with the lights off? Cover the windows, sit him in there with the lights off. That's all you have to do. You wouldn't be able to see a mind flayer, I don't know. But they're in there, and like, the mind flayer is talking, but Will is using Morse code. You know, that thing. And it communicates to them, you know, here, and then it communicates close gate, right? But then the phone rings, and somehow that clues the mind flayer in enough to know that they're at the buyer's house. So all these creatures descend, they all run back into the house, and you just hear the screeching and growling, and then one of them flies through the window, and you're like, is it dead? They're like, is it dead? And they move it, and then the lock goes, and the door opens, and it's 11, and it's like, yeah, hell yeah, kind of moment, like she saved the day. And there's this moment between her and Mike where they just stare at each other, and it's a finally they're together moment or something like that, you know? It's really cool. And I like how she uses it. Like, there's this episode, which I'll get into in the negatives. It's not a very good episode, it's episode 7, but there's one thing that comes out of it. It's the character development where she learns to use her anger to control her powers. And using that, she closes the gate. And that makes sense because it was anger at Papa that caused the gate to open to begin with. So that makes sense. All in all, that's the good part. I enjoyed the season. Let's talk about the negatives. Alright? And probably the biggest negative I can give is the character of Kali. Now, at the beginning of this season, like one of the first shots, we see another character. I think she's Indian, not Native American, but from India. Indian culture. And we see her use powers. Her powers are that she can make people see what she wants them to see. And you see the blood coming down, which I'm hoping that eventually they change the blood thing, because it should be that once they've figured out their powers, it shouldn't do that. And you think she would be far long enough that it wouldn't do that, but it does. They do that so they can tell you, oh, there's more than just her, which we kind of already knew. And we see her and her gang in the first episode, and we don't see them again until episode 7, which is kind of 11 is kind of held separate from the others, which is another negative. Like, the whole thing with her in the first season was bonding with them and having those connections, and this season she's taken away from them because she's got to be held secret away from people. Yeah, but couldn't you just bring the kids to your cabin, Hopper, so that they can hang with her. He's too protective. He even admits later that he's wrong, but he's too protective. And that causes problems, and then she decides she's going to go searching for her mom when she finds the file. That episode was pretty good, except for the part where we find out that the sister, her aunt, technically, sold her out, I guess, and so she leaves and ends up finding Kali. And this entire episode was just, I was sitting there going, is this over yet? Because it's getting, what is the point? She joins this gang, she gets a new kind of style, which I like better, because she had her hair down and curly. I don't like she grew out over a year. I myself, you kind of seen, I like to comb my hair to the side, I comb it back when I have hair. I don't like it down. Sometimes I have it down, but it gets annoying sometimes. And when you have it down, it's also hotter. She looked like a weird doll or something, but she combs it back. I think she looks badass. So, yeah, especially when she's wearing the punk clothes or whatever, they get her all dressed up like that. But then, by the end of the episode, she decides she sees a vision of Mike in trouble. And that's another thing, because they set up this thing at the end of the previous episode. They're going back and forth, where they realize that Will is a spy. So, Hopper's in there, and he's with Owens or whatever, and they're trying to figure it out. Mike comes around and goes, it's a trap. It's a trap. And then the episode ends. And then we just follow Elle for the entire next episode. I hate when they do that. Legends of Tomorrow recently did that in their last season, unfortunately, where they had a cliffhanger where they were hiding from evil robot versions of themselves. And then the entire next episode was a filler completely following those robot versions. And it did nothing really to further any of the plot of the real Legends. It was just following the robot ones. It didn't progress any plot, didn't do anything for the story. And other than some vital character development for Elle, there's really nothing else in the episode that you could not watch. You could skip the episode, and all you'll miss is some character development and why she's wearing different clothes. That's it. You won't get anything out of that. And speaking of negatives, the character of Max. Now, I like that they're bringing another girl into the group, but her character only exists to cause problems with the group. Dustin and Lucas are fighting over her because they have a crush on her. Mike doesn't want to let her in the group because she's not Elle. There's problems. And even after all this, when they're together and they're gonna fight, before Elle comes back, Mike's like, "You may know the truth, but you're not you're not in the party." Like, really, Mike? Really? One, do you really think it's smart to get mad and pissed off and yelling at someone who knows the secret and can spread it around and not have them in the party? You think? I'm just saying. And it's just by this point I accepted that she was a part of the show and she had to be a part of the group, but Mike hadn't accepted it yet. Hopefully by season 3 he has. No. But yeah, her character only exists to cause problems in the group. Even I don't know. And with Elle, because Elle gets out and goes to Mike and sees him with Max and thinks, oh, he's moved on. And I was just like, really, we're doing this. Fine. Whatever. And when we're talking about negatives, the timeline here. It's a year later. Now, in my head, though, that doesn't make any sense. Because at the end of season 1, it's a month after the events of the show, of the first season, of everything that happened. And Will throws up that baby Demogorgon thing in the sink. Are you telling me that thing just stayed underground for an entire fucking year before anything else happen, are you telling me that the Mind Flayer or whatever had these plans, it was connected to Will, and it waited a year before doing anything? That just doesn't make any sense to me. But some time has to pass, I guess. But a year, I don't know. And I guess each one progresses by a year. Like, the first one was 1983. I was wrong. I thought it was 1984. This is 1984. And then I believe the next season will be 85. And supposedly, like, season 4, from what I hear, it only takes place a few months after season 3, which, given the fact that it was filmed later than that and the actors will appear older than that, especially the middle schoolers who would now be in high school by this point. I don't know. Age is going to be kind of weird, but yeah, timeline's a little long for me. But overall, I enjoyed this season. I don't think I need to go into spoilers. I think I gave all my thoughts on the spoilers and stuff. But I enjoyed it for what it was. I thought it was at least on par with season 1. Maybe a little bit better, but not like way up there. But I thought it was pretty good. Can't wait to continue. But that'll be sometime next week. I think I'm gonna try to watch some of this between the recordings for Full Moonathon 2, but I can't promise anything. Most likely sometime next weekend, maybe. But or I might start. I don't know. We're doing Father's Day this weekend, and I probably won't get home until after 7 Central on Sunday, so I don't know. Don't know anything from there. I'll have videos that are scheduled to release this weekend anyway, but I have videos up to next Tuesday right now. So that should tide you over until I decide to watch this again. But this was pretty good. So what are your thoughts on Stranger Things Season 2? In the comments below, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.